Welcome to the Burn Bootcamp Podcast. I'm your host, Morgan Klein, co-founder and CEO, along with my husband and company visionary, Devin Klein.
And together, with our amazing team, we are going to help you push past your limits, not just physically in our gyms, but right here, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually on the Burn Bootcamp Podcast.
Together, we will take on challenges and break through barriers to transform into the best possible version of ourselves. We are more than a gym. We are a community. Your community. Let's go, Burn Nation.
What is up, Burn Nation? Welcome to the Burn Bootcamp Podcast. Today, we have a very special episode. It is our fourth Ultimate Burn Champion. As you know, we've interviewed the other three so far. We have Eliza Harris here, who is saving the best for last. All right, I'm just kidding, other finalists. I'm just kidding, you other champions. But we have the champ here, the female standard division. Eliza Harris, you were an amazing competitor. Your mom and dad got to see you win the finals here in Charlotte. I'm so excited to talk to you today to deconstruct your road to finals and just all the things that went into you really just having an amazing performance. It was a treat to watch. You started Burn 5 years ago, and I know that you were hooked immediately, like most of us were. And you became the lead trainer in Athens, I believe, 2 years ago. And is that correct? 2 years ago?
Yeah, not quite 2. We'll be 2 in March at the newer location. So
excellent. Okay, and like a lot of people, your favorite protocol is Metcon, and of course, and you also competed in the 2024 and 2023 Athlete Games, crowned the champion in 2024. Congratulations, champion! I'm so excited to have you here, Eliza, on the podcast with us to share your awesome story and to let Burn Nation get to know their champion a little bit more. I'm sure you had an outpouring of love after you were crowned the champion. What was that experience like, going from 23 to 24 and going from, being in the running to being the champ?
Yeah, it's crazy. I honestly, every year I feel like it gets harder to make it there. So it wasn't like, oh, I made it in 2023. Like, I'm going to make finals again. It's no thing. Like, it was a shock. I was hoping to make finals, but so it was like kind of surprising to be there. And then tried to show up like I belong there. I don't know that I did. I feel like in 2023, I was like, it was really a shock. And I showed up like, not that I didn't prepare. I thought I was preparing, but it was not prepared enough. So I feel like going into 2024, I was at least a little bit more prepared. I will say I don't think that I put myself in the like top category even of athletes competing there. I was like, oh no, I'm in heat 1, like I got to work to keep up. So maybe that helped to like push me through it. But yeah, it was a shock.
Yeah, well, when you are, let's say, a rookie at anything, and you're in the big game as a rookie, you don't have that experience to draw from. And Chuck and I were talking about that during his interview, your fellow male standard athlete winner, and you came back in 2024. You had that experience. You had a little bit under your belt. Were you able to draw from that in the moment? Were you able to better calibrate kind of where you were in the games as they were going on?
Yeah, I think so. I think more so. I mean, obviously, like having been there before, you know a little bit more what to expect, like day of and how the whole thing runs. But I think more than that, it was just like the preparation leading up to it. I trained a lot more like with people. I had my other trainer, Kristen, that also made finals for the Masters as well. So that was really helpful. And just honestly making people do it with me, whether that was Kristen, Sam from Warner Robins, making members do the workouts with me. I think that was kind of like the missing piece from the year before. It's just practicing on my own. It's just not the same. And then, the workouts change every year. So it's like some years they're good for you, some years they're not. So, yeah.
When you went into the final workout, sorry for the wait, what was your reaction to, there was a moment on the live stream where Luke was down in the Transformatorium. That's Burden's version of a conference room, a big like team conference room. Everybody, by the way, here at HQ, and so we were in the Transformatorium, and the camera was on Luke, and he was telling you guys about sorry for the wait, and you had been already performing pretty well at the strength movements. Most of the strength movements, that was your bread and butter. You were able to really move the weight around visibly easier than a lot of your competitors as well. So when you heard sorry for the wait, and you have this kind of heavy Metcon style finisher, but it also has double unders in the middle, that it's just a different dynamic when your legs are cement from 10 walking lunges and then 10 squat press, and then you got to do double under. What was your initial reaction when it was just you there, like, and you heard what it was going to be?
When I first saw it, I was like, thank goodness.
I figured that would be your response, given that you're dominating anything with weights.
We were all trying to like think of what could it be, and I was like, don't give me the half burpees, don't give me any kind of like strictly cardio body weight thing. I love a press, and if it's going to be conditioning, I love a double. So I people were texting me as soon as they saw it, and they're like, oh, like you were made for this workout. And I was like, of all things, I was excited. I knew I love the tricep press. I knew that the push-ups, I like push-ups, but I knew that they were gonna, like, you see 10 and you're like, that's nothing. But they add up. I just remember from not the SAC, from regionals, it's like, how hard can 10 push-ups be? Turns out they can get pretty hard as you get like 3-4 rounds in.
Right.
But love the doubles. That middle part, I was like, surely I can get through that. But it's not like, I saw it and I was like, yes, I feel like this is where I excel at those exercises, but also so do the other three, like Lindsay, Robin, Kelsey. I'm like, they all got here because they're good at those things too. So it's not like I'm like, oh, I got it. They're all extremely strong. So yeah. When was
the moment in time? You're kind of like a runner, and you run a marathon, and like you can see the finish line, and like you're going to win as long as you don't do something dramatic, right? You kind of see when you're going to win. Like, what was the moment in time that you saw the finish line and you knew, yeah, I'm probably going to win this thing if I just don't trip?
I don't know. I had to really remind myself to like stay in my own lane, because there's a lot I think honestly in a lot of the workouts, I don't come out, like, I'm not ahead at the beginning, and so I've got to like not stress. Like, somebody might be ahead of me after a set or 2 sets, 3 sets. I don't think I knew until I finished the last push-up. It was a struggle there at the end. So, I couldn't, out of my peripheral, I could kind of like see, who's on push-ups, who's on press, but it's not over till it's over. So.
Yeah, you're right. It definitely isn't. That was an amazing feat of strength. What was the reaction from your mom and dad being there, and how involved were they leading up to this? I know that they were there to see you win the championship. That must have been special.
Yeah, it was awesome to have them there. They came to regionals too, and they come to finals the year before. We joke because I think it took my mom a second. Like, everyone was like, she's done. And she's like, oh. So, but they were super excited. They like to watch me compete. They always, growing up, did gymnastics, track. They were always at everything. My dad's a coach, so they love that environment. And obviously this is a little bit different. It's not the same as like high school sports, but it's kind of like that same idea. So they love to watch and support. So they were happy to be there.
Yeah. Does it fill that void for you? Like competing in the athlete games? Like, why do most competitors compete, and if you were to encourage members to compete in level up games, what would be your advice?
I think it definitely fills that void. I think like most all trainers, especially the ones who compete, obviously we're super competitive. You have that like inner drive. I think sometimes I'm like a more quiet competitive. I'm not like loud and out there about it, but I'm super competitive. I like to win. So having something, and even just like having something to train for, like regionals, finals, it's good to like set that goal for yourself. I feel like otherwise you can just get into, going through the motions, going to camp, but there's no, I mean, we can always have little goals along the way, but that gives you something, to really work for. And I think it's the same thing for level up games. I try to hopefully we'll get all my trainers on board for next year in competing at regionals, but it tests you physically, mentally. I feel like I've mentally gotten stronger over the past several years of competing. So
yeah, it's an incredible experience to be able to do something that pushes you physically to the point which you demand more out of yourself than you were ever willing to without that vehicle, and then the mental like resilience that comes from that, right? And when you think about resilience mentally in your own life because of burn and athlete games specifically, which takes the difficulty up a couple notches, to say the least. That has to spill over into other areas of life. So for you personally, where have you seen yourself become a more mentally strong, resilient person outside of the gym?
I think just literally in every aspect of life, it's like doing something that scares you. So, whether that's even signing up for the games, then proving to yourself that you can, and then, obviously putting in the preparation behind it is going to make you more prepared on that day. And again, that's the same thing in life in general. Stepping outside of your comfort zone, you're prepared, and then you show yourself that you can. And every time you do that, I think that just builds more confidence for everything else.
And you have to, and obviously we're talking workout and a physical routine, a physical goal here. How important is recovery when you are going on this kind of competitive journey with your fitness? It's fitness as a sport. That's really what it is. That's what we're doing is with athlete games and level up games is, Burn Boot Camp inherently isn't competitive in terms of, you versus other people. It's inherently competitive of like you versus yourself yesterday and outdoing the old version of you and becoming a new version of yourself. And it's competitive in that way. But, it's not competitive in the sense of like, you want to beat the person next to you. And even at athlete games, although you want to win, it's not competitive in the sense of like you rather would see other people do bad. If like other people doing bad meant that you won, you'd take like you'd rather want to see them succeed, which is and it's an amazing culture within the culture. So how has that culture helped you fill that void, that sports void, that team, that locker room type vibe, that so many of us end up missing?
Yeah, I think that's what makes Burn so different from literally anything else out there. Leading up to it, we're messaging back and forth, whether it's people that I met the year before or people you just, connect with. It's like you're all bonding over how awful the workouts, strategy, anything like that. And then when you get there, again, it's the same thing. Like, it's not like I'm like trying to scope it out. See, I've got to beat this person. I've got to beat this person. Like that sort of thing. It's more, again, we're talking strategy. Like we're watching, I guess some people watch more than others. Some people stay out of it. Some like to watch. But we're watching, you're like, this person PR'd, like come back down. We're all cheering for them. So I think that environment is just really unlike any other. And then just being alongside that many like top level people just pushes you to level up even more.
And I'm sure it really enhances your personal mission and message and like your why. And I wanted to give you, because I thought it was anytime we've talked about this, you've always got like a strong purpose behind why you're a trainer in the first place and what it means to you to empower women to be strong. So take a few minutes and just, talk about the real story, the journey, the impetus behind you becoming a trainer in the first place and what made you fall in love with Burn and the community.
Yeah. So, I went to Alabama, majored in exercise science. So this is generally the field that I wanted to go into. When I left college, I would have never said like group fitness in specific. I had never heard of Burn. I was going towards like strength and conditioning, had my strength and conditioning certification. So that's more what I was looking for. And then I was coaching club gymnastics too. So I started out like mostly like almost full-time gymnastics, and then I was working at another gym, kind of like personal training on the side. And then I literally just was like looking for more hours, found Burn, and then I was hooked immediately. So I wasn't technically a member first, but as soon as I started there, I was taking camp every day. I think that's the best way. I mean, for any trainers out there, I think that's the best way to get involved in your community, to get the whole Burn culture. Obviously, a lot of the members coming up, but if not, make sure you're in there taking camp every day. You're telling your members that that's the workout to do. If you're following that, that's what you're doing, they're going to be more likely to trust you. But so I was majority gymnastics for a long time, and then kind of slowly started adding in more Burn. And I think, growing up in gymnastics culture, I think it's, changing some now. And I never had specifically like bad experiences, but I know there's a lot of like, there's poor body image, there's eating disorders, there's, eat as little as possible so you can be as tiny as possible, all of that. And luckily, I think a lot of that is changing. And so I think I kind of take that into my mission as far as Burn as well. And so it's maybe for some, moms or, older women, it's like retraining their mind. Maybe that's what they grew up with, that same kind of culture of, eat as little as possible, be as tiny as possible. You can't lift heavy weights, you're going to get bulky, all of that stuff. So kind of trying to flip that script and show them that like being strong is in, that's the way for like longevity, for your health, all of that. And then being in a college town, we have a lot of like college girls too, a couple, some high schoolers. So I really like getting to work with that younger group as well, especially I'm currently coaching any gymnastics. So getting to work with those like college age students and hopefully kind of steer them in a different way than maybe what they grew up hearing or what they were taught, that sort of thing. And then I think, like I said, I wasn't looking for group fitness, but Burn is not your average group fitness. It's more of that, like, again, athletic feel. So I just found it and was hooked. So.
And you've been just an amazing addition and such a pleasure for everyone to get to know. You obviously took the crown at the Athlete Games 2024, and you've just been a staple to the greater kind of Atlanta and Georgia market in general. I think people would be interested in to just kind of hear like, your career at Burn and your training position and how where do you start versus where you're at now. And you mentioned that if you had your way, you'd get all your trainers to join at the Road to Athlete Games and go to regionals. So just talk to us about that group and what they mean to you and where you started from and kind of the team culture and dynamic that you have internally.
Yeah. So we had another location. That's where I got my start, and I was training, I don't know, like 10 to 12 camps. Gradually towards the end of that, I started training more. And then, like I said, we opened in March. So going on 2 years this coming March. And so we've got a team, a little bit bigger team now. So I train a lot. I like to train a lot. But we've got an awesome team. So I've got my other trainers. We got Kristen. That's, like I said, she was in the Masters. So she's the only one I got on board so far to compete. And then we've got Angela, we've got Madeline, Ashley, and Hannah is our newest trainer. So they're all incredible. I mean, I think they believed I could do this. They believe in me more than I believe in myself usually. And they push me, beside me in workouts when they're training me, all of that. And they've just been a great support system all the way through. But I would love to get them on board next year. I think it's great. I think everyone should do it. Try it at least,
Your performance was certainly inspiring. Everybody's was, but to watch you in that finals, man, it was incredible. When you talk about your nutrition as a trainer, I know from experience that it's just like anybody. Like, if you're an accountant and you do accounting all day long, you hate doing your own taxes more than anything, right? It's like when you're a trainer and all day long you're talking about fitness and nutrition. There's days where you're like, oh, fitness and nutrition, I don't want to do a workout or I don't want to eat clean today. How do you think about your diet, your consumption of food, and does it change when you do something like the athlete games?
I mean, for me, the working out is maybe the easy part's the wrong word, but I can show up and I can get it done. Some days you're exhausted and it's a little bit harder to push the way that you need to, but I can show up and do it. To me, the nutrition part is the hardest. And like you said, I would love to talk macros with people all day long. If I tracked my macros every single day, I would lose my mind. But I think leading up, I was starving all the time. Training a lot, working out a lot. I really focused. I'm getting a ton of protein a day. I was probably eating more, maybe a little bit cleaner. I didn't go again to like strictly tracking every day. I didn't like do some crazy diet, but like I was watching it a little closer. I was probably eating more. Like I said, tons of protein, lots of carbs, always hungry, could never get enough. And then I think, in terms of like recovery and stuff, I always prioritize a rest day, like always. If that means I needed to go way harder on one day to like knock out a bunch of stuff and still get that rest day, I tried to make sure that stayed consistent, even like leading up to finals. Sometimes I would like second guess myself. I'm like, oh, am I supposed to be doing more? I think that's kind of the hard part about, like I said, I'm talking to people on social media. We're following each other. We're talking strategy. But then someone posts that they, did 3 workouts today, or they ran the full day's competition or whatever. And you're like, oh, shoot, is that what I was supposed to be doing today? But I think it's kind of learning to trust yourself, trust your own program, your training, learn from everyone else. But at the end of the day, everyone's different, whether that's what you need in terms of workouts and training, nutrition, all of that stuff, kind of listening to your body, knowing when to push a little bit harder, knowing when to bring it back a little bit, so that you arrive at the end goal in the best shape that you can be in.
Yeah, it's the art of not letting other people dictate your pace at which you do things, right? And listening to your intuition over in the way that you feel over what other people are doing. That's so hard in all areas of life. Like it's in a competition where you're seeing other people like doing 3 workouts in a day. It's like, dude, I'm behind, like they're, you could easily have that. And then you could easily like react to that and easily overtrain and easily get injured. And now you're out, or something like that. In business, it's the same way. Like, F45 was like really big, really, really fast. And I was always like, what the heck? But if we did the things that got them there, then we wouldn't be who we are. And it's important that no matter what we're doing, like competing in a fitness competition, running a business, being a mom, being a dad, that you don't let what other people are doing dictate the pace at which you move. That's where like all sadness is found. It's like all depression starts somewhere between like comparison of yourself and others. So you got to kind of stay head down, right, and do your thing. When you think about coming back for 2025, what was your goal going into, obviously your goal going into 2024 is to win. You did that. Coming into 2024, were you like, I'm going to win this? Were you like, I don't know if I'm going to win this, but I'm going to try my hardest? Or were you like, I'm going to win back to back to back to back titles? Like what was your mindset, and what's your thoughts on 2025?
I guess going into 2024, I knew I just wanted to make finals again. And now that I've won, the goal is again just to make finals. You gotta be there in order to win. So, and like I said, I feel like it's gonna get. The more trainers sign up, the workouts are gonna get harder. I feel like it should get harder and harder each year. But I would love to be back and do it again. I know that like when you get there, you get maybe you like as soon as you get done, you're like, I'm never doing that again. You know, but I know that like when it comes around next year, if I'm not doing it, I'm just like I would be sad. I would have FOMO, like because I like to compete, and I realize that every time when it comes back around. So I'm gonna try my best to be there again.
All right, the champ is coming back. Let's go. It's exciting. Good, good. Well, I have zero doubt that I'll see you back in Charlotte for sure, and I hope that you can encourage your trainers too to participate in regionals, and who knows, you guys might take both levels next year, you and Christy.
Yeah.
So before I got some rapid fire things that I want to. Oh, I want to hear all your burn favorites. I think people would really enjoy hearing your burn favorites. But before I do that, well, when you're training's a hard business, right? Because we love to do it. It's who we are. It's what we do. We wouldn't have life any other way. But you're also the opposite of a lot of people's schedule, right? You're up early in the morning and then you're up late at night a lot of times. When everybody's at work during the day, that's when the downtimes usually are. So maybe less so in burn and then in like the greater fitness world. But I guess my question is, what keeps you motivated personally? Like what keeps me motivated personally is just the stories that I hear from members who, you might have said something to them one time a long time ago and it sparked something in them, and that little moment you're just you're a piece of their momentum to get started, and 3 years later their life is completely different, and they didn't tell you until their life was completely different that one thing that you might have said. Those are always my favorite moments, and they keep me coming back, and it keeps me wanting to talk to you on a podcast. And I just talked to a doctor from Los Angeles on a podcast right before this, and it keeps me wanting to keep pushing for people and getting information and forging new ground and making and keeping promises to ourselves and speaking this out, because you never know when somebody is going to take one thing and they're going to believe it, and they're going to really believe it, like with all of their being, and it's going to completely change their life because they will have had believed in it with such conviction that they took action for an extended period of time on it. So when it comes down to like what keeps you motivated to do what most of society thinks is a relatively hard job to do, what motivates you? What are the things that keep you coming back every morning?
Definitely our members, our people. I mean, like you said, whether it's I feel like we're changing lives, even if we don't realize it. One 45-minute workout, you're not changing your life in that instance, maybe, but over time, the things that you're instilling in them, I guess, just through fitness in general, and then whether that's like members that are able to like come off of medication or they go back to the doctor and levels of certain things have gotten better. People, their kids want to be a trainer when they grow up or they see you, and they just like think that's the coolest thing, kids working out at home because they see their moms working out. People that were never gym people before, and now this is their like every day. They found their people, they've gotten stronger, just like doing things that they never would have seen themselves do before and never thought they could do before. And just like building that confidence that starts again with fitness and, doing a pull-up, doing a box jump, but then bleeds into other areas of their life, and just hearing those stories, interacting with our members just like day to day. I think that's what keeps me going.
All right, so I'm going to ask you about all your burn favorites, okay?
Okay.
All right, because now that you're the athlete champ, you've got love from all over the country, I'm sure. Maybe before I do that, talk to me about just winning and feeling the outpour. You're a celebrity now, whether you like it or not. People are going to be looking out for you next year to go. And of course, you're going to have the target on your back, of being the champion. That just comes with being a champion in anything. People are always going to want to beat the champ from last year, and the champ's hardest job is to retain the belt for a second time, to defend it. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like, I got, messages from, members from all across the country, different burns. And so obviously that's, so sweet. Like I don't know these people, and they're like taking the time to message me that they were so impressed by this, or it was amazing to watch. And I'm like, not me. So I think, that was surprising. Not surprising knowing like the burn culture. That's just how it is. But I think just like, honestly, the camaraderie and like all of the other trainers there, again, just it's an environment unlike any other. So just that like burn family, burn athlete family, and then like year to year, I think that makes it really special and different. But yeah, it does put a little more pressure on you, but that makes you work harder, right?
Yeah, for sure. You the type of person that thrives under the pressure, I would assume.
I like to think so.
Yeah. Gymnastics background lends its hand well to thriving under pressure. That's a pressure-driven sport right there. Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's see. What's your favorite protocol?
Metcon.
Oh, we already talked about that.
Yeah.
That is your favorite protocol.
Metcon.
It's Metcon.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Favorite movement, favorite exercise?
I like a pull-up.
Me too. Not my favorite, one of my favorites. I like it. Okay, what's your favorite burn meal? Tried all the flavors? The best seller. Do you want to know the best seller?
Yeah, what's the best seller?
The Power Chicken Parmesan.
Okay, I like that, and I had a breakfast one that I really liked.
The enchilada or the rise and
Yes.
the rise and grind? The enchilada?
Like enchilada. Yes. That's it.
That's like a power breakfast before you go do leg day. You need to get some carbs in your body before you go do leg day. Are you chocolate, vanilla? Are you plant, or are you whey?
I'm whey, and I would say vanilla because I like to get creative. I'm not just like a mix it with water or milk and get it down. I like to like make something fun, some overnight oats, some yogurt. So the vanilla, more customizable. Yeah.
All right. So you like to play with your afterburn and mix it up. All right. Yeah. So what's your favorite like smoothie? Do you make smoothies?
Right now I'm really on a yogurt bowl kick, but
Okay.
I like the smoothie too. Yeah.
So explain to people how you're putting it in yogurt? Just like dumping it in and mixing it around?
Yeah, you do like a half to 3/4 of a scoop for the texture. Maybe you need to add a little bit of water, and then all the toppings. You got to put some fruit on top, a little drizzle of peanut butter, PB2, hemp seeds, chia seeds. We get it all in there.
A little bit of everything. So
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Do you ever do double after like double protein like shakes like after a workout and just like kill it, or is it always food based?
I do a shake sometimes. I'll probably do like maybe I do half in a yogurt, and then like in the afternoon I have a shake, or I do like a protein coffee. Yeah, so probably like twice in a day I'll have a scoop, but I don't just like chug it straight 2 scoops.
You never just eat the powder, just
Right.
pour the powder in your head.
Yeah.
Don't dry scoop.
Dry scoop, yeah.
Do you, what's your other favorite burn nutrition supplement besides Afterburn?
I love the bars. I like a sweet treat, so the bars help.
Favorite flavor?
Peanut butter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever heat it up?
Very much. Yes, it's good.
Oof.
Love that.
Amazing. 12 seconds in the microwave.
Yes, perfect. I'm team creatine.
Okay.
Take that religiously.
So that's okay. So now we'll go out of rapid fire. Creatine is an important topic. Elaborate on creatine. Why? Creatine is one of the most studied supplements. One of the most studied supplements in women. By the way, for just a quick little random nugget of knowledge for listeners and in case you were unaware, that the National Institute of Health, the NIH, only started studying women of female biology by mandate in the early 90s, 1993. Can you believe that? Up until then, all study, all biology was based on the male anatomy, male biology. Isn't that crazy?
As well, I did not know that. Yeah.
So there's a lot of, my point in bringing that up is that there's a lot of science that's lagging behind for the female body because of that, because it's clear that the biological difference between male and female is obvious. And so creatine is well studied, less studied in women, more studied in men, but one of the more studied supplements in women. And it is an incredible supplement. Why did you start taking it, and what's your routine with it?
I mean, I guess I started taking it close to like 2 years ago. I mean, I looked it up too, and I realized that it's, one of the more studied supplements, even though I feel like you said, women are kind of like, think that it's a thing just for men, and maybe in the past that's how it was promoted. But I mean, I heard better recovery, makes you be able to work out harder, lift heavier, get stronger. And so I was like, it's worth a shot.
You're like, sign me up. I want those things.
Yeah. And then, there's the benefits as far as like brain health and all of that stuff too, which I think is super cool. So even if you're not like, must get stronger, like, lost my headphone, if that's not like your top priority, which I feel like, and a lot of people at Burn it is, but if that's not your thing, then like, I think there are a million benefits. No matter who you are, you can benefit from it. But I feel like, I think it's helped. I've been joking at our gym. Anyone who's not taking it yet, I'm like, do you want to get a pull up or not? If you want to get a pull up, you got to start taking creatine. So it's been a joke, but
yeah, it's definitely no, for sure, definitely great advice. I mean, it's the great strength enhancer. That is when you are when you're taking it. Do you usually just take it alone as a standalone supplement, or are you putting it in something else?
I usually mix it with greens in the morning, like
suja or something like that, or
just like a powdered green. I switch it up sometimes, but it just, I don't know
powdered
that
green,
I
like AG1 or something.
Yeah. I don't know that I like. It's not like I think it's like doing any magic, the greens, but it makes me drink a little something before I get straight to coffee. So it's like the routine of that and something to mix my creatine with. Makes me get at least a cup of water before I go to coffee.
Yeah, actually. Yeah. I want to just ask one more question about nutrition, and then I'll leave you with the microphone to give, any parting words to Bird Nation out there. But I do want to ask a couple more nutrition questions. So when you are having focus meetings with your members, and specifically talking about nutrition, what's the one thing that or handful of things that you run into the most that people are struggling with, that they desire but aren't necessarily able to connect with nutritionally?
I would say the biggest thing, the first thing I feel like we focus on, when we get into that nutrition, is most people are not getting enough protein. Even if they think like, oh, I eat protein at every meal. Number one, realize that like a lot of people simply don't know what foods have protein. So it's like, it's a big spectrum of what we do. There's the people who have no idea what foods even have protein in it. So obviously that's where you start. Like, can you get a protein at each meal? And it's teaching them what those foods are. And then, there are other people who are like top level with their macros. They've worked with macro coaches before, so they're trying to like really dial it in. But I guess the most general first thing we see is not enough protein. So it's like giving them that goal of 100 grams. Sometimes we have to start lower than that. The awareness of I don't think that tracking your food consistently always is for everyone, but I think it can be a really good tool. So it's like, even if they can track it and be aware of it for 3 days, for a week, maybe we realize they're not eating enough at all throughout the day. And then they're like going hard at night, or they don't eat enough in the week, and then the weekends they lose it all. So I think it's number one is just like being aware, thinking about what they're eating, focusing on protein. And then I guess the other thing that I realized, I'm a foodie. I like to eat out. I like to try different things, but I also, I mean, I'm not cooking for a whole family, so that's the difference from me and a lot of our moms that we have. But I think that people just, to me, it's nothing to throw together a bowl that has a protein, carbs, and like my mind just works in that way. And I've realized that not everyone's does. They don't have, they can't just like think of it off the bat. So it's giving them like little ideas that maybe to me or to other trainers seem like, of course you would know that. But if this is not your field and this is not your life, then they don't know those things. So it's just like teaching them, kind of meeting them where they're at and teaching them, depending on that, to take little steps to improve.
Yeah, I think it's all about that, and you're right. So many people don't realize what the food composition is actually made out of, and it's the starting square for most people is just education. So I keep having those focus meetings, and it's the cool part about it for all of our trainers out there is that once you learn that there's just a handful of ways to go out and get that 100 grams, then it just becomes, it's not like an infinite amount of ways, right? There's only 13 or so major sources of protein. It's like chicken, fish, eggs, you're like halfway there, beef, you're like halfway there. So it is, how many ways can you like program yourself to see protein in 100-gram different increments? Okay, well, this has been really good, and I know that you're very busy, and you got to get back to running the gyms and training and moving the needle forward for your members, and so I'll let you do that. But before you go, I was wondering if you had any parting words for Burn Nation out there, whether they're just something little that they're struggling with, or struggling with the decision to join the athlete games or the level up games if you're a member, or just in general, what keeps you going when you're not feeling your best, and what would you say to people out there when to get over those things and to keep moving forward?
I think I feel like we say it all the time, just in Burn in general, is like doing the thing that scares you. And so whether maybe that's like showing up for your first camp, maybe that's signing up for level up games, athlete games, whatever it is. And the more that you can do those things that scare you, that push you outside of your comfort zone, the easier they feel, and then you're more confident and able to do that again and again, and in your life in a million different ways. So I think just taking that first step, and like we tell members, the first rep, get back into it. The first rep, the first step in life, all of that. So taking the first step is the hardest, and once you get there, it just flows after that, and you build confidence along the way. So I think that's the key.
Well, I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hopefully we get to see each other before Charlotte finals next year. That would be nice. But I know that you're out there dividing and conquering with you and your training team. We appreciate you guys very much, and all of your dedication and loyalty to Burn, and to having our the Burn Bootcamp microphone and the Burn Bootcamp jersey on your chest. It means a lot to me that you would represent Burn because of how talented and how skilled you are. You could really take your talents to a lot of different places and do a lot of different things, and you choose to be here at Burn. And I know that if I can keep people like you here motivated to continue to grow themselves and their careers and their community and take pride in the brand, then we're doing the right things, and we'll keep it up, and we'll look forward to watching you go compete for another finals trophy. Our 2024 standard female champion, everybody, Eliza Harris. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. If you are in the Georgia area, you got to go check out
Yes, in Athens.
You got to go see Harris in Athens. Get your butt kicked by the ultimate Burn athlete champion. You're amazing. Thank you very much. We'll do it like we always do. 2 claps on 2. 1, 2.